Welcome to the Business Spotlight Podcast. My name is David Beeson. I am your host for today's conversation, and my guest today is Mary Southern, the owner of Resume Assassin. We're going to be talking about her business, journey to business ownership, challenges, best practices, and share a peek of what it's really like to build and operate a business. Mary, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here today. I would love for you to give us a little bit of background of who you are and tell us a little bit about your business as well.
Yeah, David, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. So like you said, David, I'm the owner of Resume Assassin. So basically what I do is I write resumes, I write cover letters, optimize LinkedIn profiles, and then I ghostwrite content on LinkedIn for some clients as well. So my background is in really it's in human resources, recruiting, and career services. So I've always kind of had this passion for both job searching and writing. And so resume writing is just kind of this culmination of my passions. So that's kind of where I landed. But yeah, I just absolutely love what I do and the clients that I serve. And I get so much excitement, so much passion and energy from working with clients and helping them through the job search process. And it's something that I've always loved, and I feel absolutely blessed to be able to do it every single day.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, just kind of setting the stage for the viewers and listeners. Generally speaking, what is your current ownership structure looking like? Are you the sole founder and owner? Do you have outside investors, business partner?
Mhm. Yeah, so right now I'm the sole owner, I'm the sole founder. So yeah, really my business has grown pretty much organically over the last decade or so. I would say about 2 years ago, I realized that I was completely spread thin, and I bet a lot of you listening to this who are entrepreneurs can relate, especially if you're a solopreneur. It's like, hey, I'm the operations person, I'm the marketing person, I'm the coach, I'm the tax person, the finance person. I'm wearing all of these different hats. I'm the social media person. So a couple of years ago, I kind of hit my breaking point where I feel like I ran up against this wall and I hit just a little bit of burnout. And so finally, I was like, okay, I do need a little bit of support in my business. I will be the first to admit that. And again, a lot of us solopreneurs, we're very controlling. It's like I do all of these things a very certain way, and a lot of what I do lived inside my head. So it was hard for me to take that step to go from solopreneurship to admitting that I need help.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did end up hiring a virtual assistant who's still with me today. And so, really, what he helps me with is a variety of things on the administrative side. So, he's helping out with really mostly to do with my podcast, with podcast editing and scheduling those, and then again just a little bit of the administrative side just to help ease some of the day-to-day stuff that goes along with solopreneurship. But no funding, nothing like that. I've bootstrapped, like I mentioned, I've grown organically over the last 10 years. My passion is serving my customers. So I
Yeah.
want every single person that works with me. I mean, obviously, I want them to get an interview. That's the goal when I'm writing a resume for them. So really, I've grown through word of mouth, through organic social media, through my podcast, through different platforms and partnerships that I've built. And then I am kind of dipping my toes at the end of 2025 and into 2026 into marketing. And I know we're going to have a little bit of a conversation about that today as well.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. My background's actually in film and TV production and marketing, so I do a
Oh,
lot of
sweet.
digital marketing and stuff like that. So I think whenever we
Yeah.
talk about marketing, it'll be a pretty fun conversation. Also, I'm pretty new-ish out of college, as in like 2 years, and I have a lot of friends who just graduated college, and I'm gonna definitely send them your way because their
Yeah,
resumes
man, send them my
suck
way.
and they are not getting jobs. So,
Dude, the market is absolutely brutal. If any of your friends are listening to this, it's not you, it's not your background. Literally, I mean, I've worked with clients with 20, 30 years of experience who've never ever needed a resume, but this market is just like, it's a completely different beast. So, yeah, send them my way. I'm happy to help.
yeah, I definitely will. So when you look at your role, how many hours do you spend working in your business, so the job itself, and how many on the business strategy and planning per week?
Yeah, that is such a great question. Um, in the business, so since I'm a solopreneur, this is a little bit, it's a hard question to answer because I'm also a mom, so I feel like all of my days I feel like I'm fighting against the clock. Like I literally
Hmm.
feel like from the moment I wake up, I'm sprinting to get everything done that I need to get done and want to get done. So working on the business, I get up and I go to the gym every single morning. I'm a huge advocate for, you know, consistency in the gym, and it just kind of starts my day off right. So I'm probably at the office working on the business on the operations side, starting at between 8:30 to 9 a.m. every single day. And then I'm done about 4:30 p.m. So, I mean, the typical standard, probably putting about 7 to 9 hours in during the work days. Sometimes that does spill into the weekends. So, my husband's always getting on me because it's like sometimes on a Saturday or Sunday, I'm like, oh, I got to jump into the office and respond to this email or follow up on this lead or write this resume, do
Yeah.
this edit. So I do end up, I probably end up spending far more time on the operations side than I would than I even think, than I even track. And then, the big picture planning, I've really been part of hiring a VA was to try to carve out some time because I know how incredibly important it is to plan ahead and
Yeah.
to think on that strategic side. And when you're a solopreneur and you get so caught up in the day to day like I do, because really my face is the business right now. It's really hard for me to separate that. So I don't, if I'm being completely transparent, I don't spend enough time on the long-term strategic planning than I should. But you and I were kind of talking at the beginning of the podcast before we hit record. It's like the end of the year is a time for me where I like to plan ahead, where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, what am I going to do in 2026 and moving forward that will help my business grow, that will help me not feel so scatterbrained and spread thin? What are things that what are systems and processes that I can put into place that will help my business to truly become scalable, and sustainable?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Um, so this is always kind of a fun question I like to ask to
Yeah.
follow up that last one. If I were to give you an extra 10 hours back each week, how would you invest those hours? Would it be in the
Oh
business,
my
personal
gosh,
life, family time?
dude, that is such a good question. The right answer to that, do you want the right answer or the real answer?
Whatever you want.
I mean, the right answer would be, man, I would find a hobby and I would spend time with my son. But the real answer would probably be what I would probably be strategizing on, okay, what's something that I could do? What's a new service that I could launch? What's a new product
Hmm.
that I could launch? What's a new marketing campaign that I could put out there that would help me to maybe step back a little bit from my one-on-one services that are taking up so much of my time right now. So really, if I had that extra 10 hours, it would probably be on figuring out, again, going back to that, putting systems into place. It would be about thinking about what can I do to be a little more hands-off in my business.
Yeah, yeah. So, why did you choose to go into business for yourself as opposed to working for someone else? And what was the
Yeah.
transition like for you?
That's really interesting. I would not have pinned myself. So talk to like 10-year-old me. I was like this super tomboy, like, but also like follow the rules. Not, I mean, I wasn't even like that kid that was like, I'm gonna create all these businesses. Like my 6-year-old son has already created a car detailing business. Like he already has an entrepreneur mind. And I think part of that probably is because I am an entrepreneur now and I talk to him a lot about business and things like that. But for me, it was like, man, I was in higher education, I was in recruiting and career services. It was never a thing that was on my mind that was like, hey, I really have this entrepreneurial itch that I want to go out and do this and step out on my own. But it was interesting. My husband and I would always go on walks and talk about, okay, what are businesses that we could start? And so we would always be brainstorming. These are all the different things that we could do. And so I always thought, honestly, if I would have predicted 10 years ago, it would have been, hey, my husband's going to step out and be an entrepreneur because he has all these amazing tech skills. Like he's an artist, an animator, he's a tech guy, like he is dangerous with code, a designer, like he has all of these different types of skills. But I ended up landing on resume writing. And I was like, at the time I was working at the University of Texas at Austin. It was a very stable job, awesome benefits, but if anybody's worked in higher education, they know that the pay is incredibly
Yeah.
high. And so I was like, hey, if I can work with one client a day, like, man, I'm gonna like double my salary here. Again, my salary was really, really low then. And so with all my husband's dangerous skills, he helped me to create a website. And then I just was really scrappy in setting the foundation and opening up social media platforms and doing all of these things in my spare time to start building the foundation of what would eventually be Resume Assassin. And um, and I think part of the reason that I was able to build it and scale it was because I was so scrappy and doing all of these things in the beginning while I was working full time. But again, it was never anything that was like, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to do this full time. But the really cool thing I think is when I was working for somebody else, I never had the motivation and the excitement about work that I do now.
Yeah.
I stepped into entrepreneurship and like I'm like, well, man, I can't imagine my life without entrepreneurship. If I ha kill me now if I have to go work for somebody else because I am so motivated, I'm so excited. I do all of these different things that are just kind of light me up and keep me going. And so
Yeah.
now, like, I definitely, identify a lot more with that title of being a solopreneur or an entrepreneur, and kind of the ups and the downs that go with that. But yeah, I
Yeah.
love it.
And what a cool name, by the way, Resume Assassin.
That's-
Yeah, no, you came up with a
Thanks,
really,
man.
really awesome business title. I like it a lot.
Yeah. It's when I did market research like 10 years ago, it was everybody had super boring names. Like resume companies didn't really have brands at that point, and so I was
Mhm.
like, I want to create a brand. And I have like my husband, he's an artist, like he's worked on different things like Nickelodeon. So I have this guy that I'm like, okay, he can do some of the design work for me. If I can come up with the idea, he can put it to life. So I don't know if you've looked at my website, but like my ninja assassin on my website
Mhm.
and stuff, like that was my vision, and then he was able to put it to life. So I feel like we make a good like powerhouse team for that reason.
Yeah, having good branding is also like super important.
Sure.
That way people see that ninja and they're like, oh, Resume Assassin. They can kind of
Yeah,
tie the two together.
totally.
Um, so I know that you talked about hitting like this breaking point a couple of um years ago. How did that challenge you and how did you get through those difficult days?
Yeah, you know what it felt like? Man, it felt like I was giving everything to my business. So, like I mentioned earlier, my day was a sprint. I would just be getting done as much as I could possibly get done. And this was before AI too. So AI has
Hmm.
definitely helped me to streamline things and to make certain things a lot easier within my business because I'm able to automate different things. But yeah, it just felt like by the end of the day, the only thing that I could do was lay on the couch. And I'm a very energetic person just by nature. I'm a very positive person. I have a lot of energy. I always have. But by the end of the day, I was just so mentally drained that I was physically tired. And so again, part of getting out of that and surpassing that and not just like giving up and saying, screw this, I'm just gonna go back to a 9 to 5 where I don't have all this pressure. It was like, okay, what can I offload? Because a lot of it happened when I did launch my podcast. I'm sure you know, as having a podcast, it's a lot of freaking work
Yeah.
on the front end and on the back end. And I was doing all of it, like the editing, the just everything. I wasn't hiring any help on top of my business. And so that was my breaking point where it's like, man, once I hired help, I was like able to push past it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Podcasts can be a lot of work. There's a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
front end stuff that I don't think a lot of people see, and a lot of back end stuff that a lot of people don't see. They just see the
100%.
episode, but all the
Yeah.
other stuff is it's a lot of work. So what makes your business unique? Like, how do you stand out against the competition?
Yeah, you know what? I think that I stand out from the competition because I've kept my business small, kind of on strategically. So with a lot of resume companies that are out there, they grow really fast. Like they're throwing a lot of money into marketing, but what they do is they outsource a lot of their writing and their production overseas. So they're sending
Mm,
your resume off to somebody that's in India who's basically just running your stuff through AI. Or like I've even had people that come to me that's like, I went to this big company and they're just like putting the information that I have in my template into another template. For me, and this is probably my crutch too, from a business perspective. Um, I will be your writer. Like if you work with me as a client, like I said, I am the face of the business. Like I'm if my business doesn't scale, it's my 100% my own fault because I'm too stubborn.
hmm
But what I found is I haven't had to throw a lot of money into marketing because it's, when somebody works with me, I care enough to take the time to pay attention to the details, to make sure that, and to apply my own knowledge and experience and what I'm seeing is working in the market right now. Um, because usually when a client comes to me, I've worked with somebody in a very similar industry to them, in a very similar space to them. So I can kind of apply what I've learned to their background, to their
Yeah.
experience. So they end up getting a lot more results a lot quicker. Like even in this market, I have clients that come to me and then like a week later they're like, I'm getting interviews. Or I had a guy like he came to me a few months ago. He was ready to completely give up, like go to a different industry. He'd been applying for, I think it was like 8 months and he had zero interviews. It took him a little bit longer. It took him like 2 or 3 months, but he started getting interviews and he had a couple of offers by the end of that 3 months with for two of his, I mean, absolutely dream positions. He was a creative director. So when I see results like that, and when my clients come to me and they tell me those stories, that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me lit up and passionate. So I think that's what helps me to stand apart is they're getting that white glove one-on-one service. You know who you're gonna get. Um, when you purchase your package, you know exactly what it is that you're gonna get, who you're gonna work with.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of transitioning to marketing. Um, I'm always curious how successful businesses are doing. I know I brought up my background before. So,
Yeah.
what percentage of your monthly sales is typically invested into your marketing budget?
Yeah. So, okay. I love this because I'm just dipping my toes into digital marketing. Actually, just starting in November, beginning of December this year. Um, Prior to that, I kid you not, I was spending $0 in digital marketing. Like
Wow.
everything has been organic, word of mouth. I have good SEO in Austin. People find me through LinkedIn. They find my website. They find my podcast. Now I've been playing around with Meta. So I don't have any good data. Like if we were to have a good conversation a year from now, I think I'm going to have a little bit better data. But um, just as an example, I created a couple of video ads in December. We put them out again on Facebook, Instagram. So they're Meta ads. And my ROAS has been 8 or 9 to 1 so far, which I think is pretty decent. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know if
good.
that's a fluke because I turned them off for the holidays because I'm like it was crazy. I've never done digital marketing, but my calendar got booked almost immediately, and I was like, well, shoot, I'm gonna have to figure out if I'm gonna scale. Like this is something that I'm gonna have to think about because all of my time is now being spent on the phone. Um, so I have never been a huge believer in digital marketing because I played around with it and I haven't found anything that
Hmm
works. And then now I'm like, okay, this maybe I found something that could work for me. So now I'm
Yeah.
slowly becoming a believer. Um, yeah, so I'm doing a couple of different campaigns to kind of break it down even further. And this is specifically for my one-on-one services because I have
hmm
a lot of different, like I have digital courses, I have AI products, and then I also have my one-on-one services with my business. So we've been doing an ad for my one-on-one services that's just like book a call. And that's the one that has been incredibly lucrative for me so far.
Yeah.
Like just to put numbers to it, I think just on a small scale, I spent like 1,200 and I made like 9,000, 8 or 9,000.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then I have like a lead magnet too that we've been testing out, and that it hasn't been there hasn't been enough time to know, but the conversion on that is a lot lower. Like I think that the click for the conversion on the book a call is a lot higher. It's like $30 or something, maybe a little bit more than that. And then with the lead magnet, the conversion is like it's like $1. So it's like $1 per lead, but then they go through a funnel through like a series of emails. Um, so we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see how that goes. I have like at this point, I've only spent like $120 and have like 120 people in there. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
kicking myself too, David. We should have talked a long time ago. I should have started this like 10 years ago, probably. But it's been a journey.
Well, I think it's also like where the market shifts and things like that is super important
Yeah,
as well. I think right now for resume building with just like the landscape of current job market being as rough as it is as well, it's a
totally.
perfect time for you to jump into digital marketing because
Yeah,
there's a lot of people that are kicking themselves wanting to find a job and are unable to, so they find themselves on Instagram or on Facebook or Meta or YouTube, wherever you end up advertising to, even TikTok, and there's a lot of people that are just scrolling wanting answers, and you pop up in their feed providing answers, and they're going to click and make a call, and hopefully it ends up working out, and they go through, and then they end up finding a job. It's I think market matters a lot with
yeah,
marketing as well, and I think starting digital marketing, even if it's just now, it's the perfect time for you to because of where the market is.
yeah. Yeah, and I think it could have been a good time previously too, because I was writing in a time before AI and
Hmm.
people were completely overwhelmed. At least now people feel like, with AI, they have some kind of a companion or an assistant.
Yeah.
But, what I found is the reality is with AI is that it's really easy to get it wrong. Like it's really
Hmm.
easy to use it and to write a resume, but it's also really easy to use it and get it wrong. And just anybody that reviews a resume day in and day out, whether it's me as a resume writer or a recruiter that's looking at your resume, if you've used AI and you've 100 like only 100% used AI to write your resume,
It's noticeable. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no. I think from what I know about recruiters and hiring managers is they've talked to me a lot about if they see a resume that's fully been used AI, a lot of times they just throw it out
yeah,
because they feel like the person isn't trying. There's no personal building with it. So
yeah,
yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying, especially with a lot of the stuff how you said about resume writers overseas and stuff where they just
yeah.
use AI to get it written and the
Hmm.
people don't end up getting any results out of it and they burn some money. It sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. And then a lot of those people end up coming back to me like they went there because they're just slightly cheaper. And then they're like, I basically flushed my money down the toilet. Like,
Hmm.
that company didn't care about me. I never talked to my writer. They gave me something worse than what I gave them, and, still no results. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying like every company does that, but I see that a lot more frequently than I should. The
Hmm.
other thing that I've seen recently is just a lot of scams. And so
Yeah.
LinkedIn used to be a good place for me to go for clients. I used to get a ton of clients there, and I still do, but far less than I used to, which is why I'm tapping into digital marketing now. And the reason for that is because now everybody is a resume writer, but
Hmm.
there's also a lot of scams where people who are pretending to be recruiters will reach out and be like, "Hey, your resume only got a 20% on the ATS. Like, go work with this Fiverr person to update your resume." And then,
Yeah.
or they come to them with fake jobs, and like it's it's scary. It's hard to know who to believe. And some of these profiles look really legit too.
Yeah.
So it's scary.
Yeah. So what approach do you have to tracking your leads? Do you have a CRM that you use, a spreadsheet, anything like that?
This is so embarrassing. I have like a manual CRM. It's another one of those things where as a solopreneur for so many years, like I've just felt like I've just like treading water trying to keep my head above, that I don't have a CRM. I probably should. But yeah, I track manually on a spreadsheet, and then yeah, I
Yeah, I
follow
mean,
up manually. It's yeah,
whatever works works is what I
yeah,
always say. If it works for you and your brand, then that's all that matters.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it's one of those things where it's like if you want to scale, if I want to scale, I definitely need to step back and think about marketing,
Hmm.
CRMs, automations on a completely different level. And it's some people they want to build this really big company, like even resume companies. It's like they want to build this massive company where they're outsourcing the writing for really cheap. And then others are like, well, I do want to provide a little bit more of a white glove. And
Yeah.
so that's another thing that I am struggling with now. It's like, do I want to go for scaling or do I want to continue on what I'm doing, which I haven't, I've built a company, yes, but really like I've built a really good, decent paying job for myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, kind of moving from marketing to sales, what's your
Yeah.
sales process look like? Like, if I were to refer someone over to you, what can they expect in the experience?
Yeah, so I offer free 15-minute consultations. I do that for anybody that's interested in my service. And so during that consultation, especially in it, it's much different. Like if David, if you're like, hey, this person needs to update their resume, or if like a previous client sends me a referral, as opposed to now I'm learning, okay, that conversation is going to be a lot different than some of these cold leads that come to me through Meta. Um,
Hmm.
so usually with when people come to me through referral, it's a lot easier because they're already warmed up. They already have that referral. So it's more like, I'm getting to know them. I'm getting to know their background, their goals, how, have they been applying? What results have they gotten? From a sales perspective, my strategy is just getting them to asking them really good questions, being really interested in them, and getting them to talk about themselves. And then I have so much experience that usually I can talk about, okay, I have a client that's in a very similar space to you. I have a previous client and I can talk about their experience, what I did for them, and the outcome. And then obviously, I'll talk through my resume process and everything and what it feels like to work with me. But in the end, I'm kind of a therapist on the phone during those 15-minute calls because the job market sucks, as we talked about. So yeah, I'm just kind of getting them to talk. And then now with this, these meta ads that I've been running, it feels a little more salesy to me, which is for me, it's a little more mentally exhausting because my
Yeah.
15-minute calls end up turning into 30-minute calls. And I am having to like take people onto my website and, do things where like the referrals have already been on my website. I don't think any of my meta ads leads that I've spoken with have even been on my website. Um, so I have to take them onto my website, and it's kind of like, and usually I'm taking them onto my LinkedIn profile because I have a very established presence on LinkedIn and a decent amount of followers on LinkedIn just to show, hey, I'm legit. This is me. Here's my website, and talking them through that, but then also getting them to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, makes sense. So, kind of switching over a little bit into like team building.
Mhm.
Do you have any plans to expand the team going into 2026, or are y'all looking at hiring anyone else or anything like that?
Yes and no, possibly. So it depends, really, it depends how these meta ads go. If they go really well, I've turned them back on half of what I had them before because my calendar was getting so booked that I just didn't have any time to do anything else. But yeah, man, it's something that's on my mind. I think I don't know if I would. There's a couple of avenues if I do decide to hire. It would probably be hiring a salesperson,
Hmm.
somebody to take the sales calls, possibly, or being forced to outsource writing if I truly do want to scale, because there's a point in time where I max out on my own time, and I have to think
Yeah.
about, okay, what are the things that I really want to do? What are the areas that I could potentially outsource? Um, and just letting go of some of that control. Um, so yeah, it's like any solopreneur can relate to this, where it's like I feel like I've gotten all of my conversions from my meta ads because of the experience that I have in working with clients. So I
Yeah.
know what their pain point is. I've worked with somebody similar to them. I can speak to that. Um, and then, same with writing. I've already talked about that, but you know, that's just me being a control freak. Like there are people out there that are awesome salespeople, that are awesome writers that could be trained up. So yeah, I think if I get the guts to scale, I think that's something that's on my mind in 2026.
Awesome. Well, if you're ready, I think we'll transition to a couple rapid fire
Yeah,
questions.
man. Let's do it.
What is the key to success for you?
Consistency. People they glamorize entrepreneurship, I think. But when you look behind the door, it's like it's really just me doing really boring stuff and like the same thing and just being really, really consistent with it um, every single day.
Yeah. What is your one piece of advice for other business owners?
Go for the no. The amount of no's that I hear, and I heard this in a podcast once. This girl that I was listening to, I wish I remembered what the name was, but her goal was to get like 100 no's a week because the more no's you go after, the more likely it is that eventually you're going to get a yes. The
Hmm.
amount of times I've been shut down as a solopreneur, as an entrepreneur, is just like ridiculous. But the more no's you go after, the more likely it is that eventually you're going to hear a yes and you're going to be successful. So,
Yeah.
yeah, expect the no, chase it.
What is a book or podcast you're reading or listening to right now?
Man, I'm listening to My First Million
Mm,
podcast. Do you listen to that one?
yeah.
Dude, they bring on so many amazing guests and like really I've learned a lot from that podcast too as a solopreneur as a business owner. And I think the key if you're listening to a podcast or you're reading a book is not just to listen and or to read it, but it's to actually apply what you learn. Otherwise it's kind of like what's the point of listening? But yeah, they bring on just some amazing guests and I love the conversations that they have on that pod.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree. They they do a lot just talking about like business and business growth and business management.
Yeah.
I love listening to them.
Yeah.
Um, so it's kind of a fun question. If you had a little bit of magic dust and you could choose one spot in your business to sprinkle in and everything would be perfect, where would it be and why?
Gosh. Man, I'm gonna have to go with the digital marketing because
Yeah.
again, it's something that is very foreign to me. Um, and I'm lucky again, my husband, he geeks out about that just recently. So he's been helping me out with that, but we're both still kind of rookies in it. Um, and again, I'm gonna be pouring some money into that in 2026. So I want the money that's being poured to have some magic dust sprinkled on it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that meme where like people they're talking about putting money into digital marketing and they're just basically like shoveling money into like a burner.
Yeah,
That's
I've
what it
seen
feels
that.
like. Yeah.
Um, well, before we get to the final question of the day, would you like to share with our audience how they can follow you, learn more, contact you?
Yeah. So Mary Southern on LinkedIn, Resume Assassin on YouTube, and then my website is resumeassassin.com. So again, resume writing, but I also have AI tools, which is like an entire career platform, and then I have a digital course on resume writing as well.
Awesome. Well, we've come to the final question of the day, and that is what is most inspiring to you today?
The most inspiring entrepreneurs to me uh, are the ones, and I also follow a lot of moms like um, Jenna Kutcher. I don't know if you listen to her podcast.
No.
She has an amazing perspective and outlook on work-life balance. Like she runs a multi-seven-figure business, but she's also a mom of two little girls, and she just does an amazing job at the work-life balance. So anybody that can put a lot of energy into their family, put a lot of energy into their business, and find time for friends and hobbies and all of the other things are just like they're unicorns. And I look up to those people and I aspire to be able to have that kind of balance um, in my own life.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing so much. I really enjoyed getting to hear your story. I just encourage all of you watching to save the show and come back and watch it again because Mary really did have some great insights for business. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so we get notifications every time a new conversation drops, just like this one. Thank you to everyone who joined us today, and a special thanks to you, Mary, for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, David.
I will see you all in the next episode.